honest, open, and transparent. If you didn't know, now you know. So sit back and unwind as we bring the vibe and a little bit of glorious sunshine to your heart, soul, and Your lovely host, Hot Donna, will be with you in just a few moments. But while you wait, go ahead and set an atmosphere of peace in your space. If you can, cut the lights down low, get your hydration on, vibrations on. Cause tonight, you're about to receive some delicious food for your soul. It's about to get hot. You are indeed in the one and only place to be this evening. We appreciate you for joining us, and in just a few moments, we about to turn the heat all the way up. That's right. It's about to go down right now on Hot Topics with Donna. Show your virtual love by smashing that thumbs up and heart icon as many times as you can. And without further ado, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing your host, the one and only Hot Donna.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hot Topics with Donna. I am your host, Donna Taylor. Thank you for tuning in today on this cold day. Hope you guys have been safe with the snow and ice and continue to be safe. I'm going to go ahead and just tell you who I am. Again, I am Donna Taylor. I am your host here for Hot Topics with Donna, where we do it honest, open, and transparent. And we, Donna Taylor Network, we're an online multimedia program that promotes Hot Topics with Donna, where we talk about relationships, family, friends, life-challenging issues. And so with that being said, I am going to go ahead and bring my guest on. And as I'm bringing her on, I'm going to read that I chose for her today, and that's courage. And it says, "So do not fear, for I'm with you. Do not dismay, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And that came from Isaiah 41:10. And so that's the word that I chose today, not just for her, but just for everybody. Everybody needs courage, and especially we need courage from God all the time to let us know that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We can do anything when it comes to Him. And sometimes in life, we have to have courage to go forth with whatever we want to do in life or whatever we're choosing that we feel that He's called us to do, whether start a new business, whether to just be whatever He's called us to be. And I'm still trying to get my guest on. We have been trying to get this lovely lady here on Hot Topics with Donna, and we're praying that it's going to work tonight to get her on. She has an amazing story and doing some amazing things in her life. And I just thank you tuning in. So hopefully she'll be able to get on. We're still waiting for her to join. Miss Faye, are you on? It says she's joining. I'm just waiting for her to pop up so we can see her lovely face. But while she's waiting, so guys, how have you weathered this little snowstorm we've had? It's been a challenge for some of us to get out if we are the ones that like to be out. I don't drive in it. I just stay home and chill, watch Lifetime movies all day. And so we're still working, trying to get her on. And so as we wait for her to come on, I'm going to talk about some courage that I had to come to deal with myself. Whenever you go through life challenging, life shaking ordeals in your life, and a lot of you know I lost my late husband 2 years ago. So that was a life challenging change for me. And it also brought me to the point where I had to tap into my courage to know that, um, oh, hey, Joyce. Yeah, it was good seeing the snow. And I had to tap into, I'm still trying to get Miss Faye on. And I had to step into some real courage to, for one, learn how to be a single mom again, learn how to just be single all over again. And in that aspect, that took a lot of courage for me, and I had to tap into um, the courage of not knowing the unknown. And sometimes it's okay when we don't know the unknown, but the thing about it is, God knows the unknown, and we just have to trust Him and give Him the full latitude over our life to give us the courage to go through whatever we have to endure, whether it's death, whether it's sickness. It doesn't matter, because in the end, He's going to give us exactly what we need at the right time. At the right time, He will give us what we need. Even if it looks like, oh Lord, how am I going to make it? How am I going to get through this? Can you just help me see where you want me to go? Give me the courage to step out on faith. Give me the courage just to survive life challenges. Just give me the courage. I'm still trying to get Miss Faye on here. Give me the courage to just endure whatever I have to go through. Even if it's pain, even if we're just trying to make it. But if we trust Him, He will give us those things. We're still waiting for Miss Faye. Like I said, we have been trying to do this interview for since December. Since December, we have been trying to get her on. Hey, Amanda, we have been trying to get her on. I hope and pray that she will be able to join us. And I'm going to still talk to you guys. But one thing I want to encourage you guys, no matter what life throws at you, whether it's in your family relationships, your friends relationship, your marriage relationship, or whether you have a significant other. Miss Faye, I'm gonna try to get you on again. I don't know why um, it keeps kicking you out, but we're gonna talk until we figure it out. Hey Kevin, thanks for joining. But whenever we go through life challenges, it doesn't matter. Miss Faye, are you on? So we're still waiting for her to come on the camera. We're having some technical difficulties, but we're going to get her on. But while we're waiting for her to get on, whatever you're going through, whether you're in a relationship or family dynamics, you have to ask God, give me the courage to make whatever I'm doing pleasing to you, not me. Because a lot of times we get selfish and we get stuck in self, and we don't know how much courage we have until we really tap into our Father. And courage, it doesn't come overnight. We sometimes have fear, and it's okay, but we have to remember God is not fear. So whatever we do, you have to walk boldly in it. We have to walk boldly in whatever He's called us to do, no matter what it looks like, no matter if people say you can't do it, no matter if you feel you can't do it. But if you tap in to the Father, you can do whatever it is you want to do, and if it's pleasing to Him, and if it's His will, you can achieve these things. You can achieve whatever it is. You you can do that. So I'm still throughout the live, still be trying to get Miss Faye on here tonight. Hey Mario, how are you? But what are some things that help you? Hey,
Can you hear me?
I can. So,
Oh my God.
what are some things with my viewers on? What are some things that help you get the courage in areas of your life that you need to have courage in? And Miss Faye, that's the word that I chose for you tonight. I chose courage because reading your information, you've been through a lot of things, and it and I know it took courage for you to even walk through these things. And a lot of your stuff took place at an early age. So how did you, or what made you have the courage to fight, to live, to want to move forward?
Well, when I first became a mother at the age of 18, so I kind of started from there, and I started out doing CNA work, and then
Mm-hmm.
I eventually in '83 I had my second child,
Right.
and I started school at Central Carolina Community College as Criminal Justice Protected Service, and
Mm-hmm.
then I went back later, 2 years later, and went to Shaw and got my bachelor's in behavior science. I've served in 5 counties out of the 100 in North Carolina. I retired in 2015 from Chatham County Public Health as a public health social worker.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that, I worked with children with developmental needs from 0 to 5, and I also did the adolescent parenting program in Chatham. And I taught about 10 or 15 years part-time for Central Carolina Community College in their adult high school and GED. Just been a single parent mom for most of my life. I've been married, but spent most of my life as a single parent mom. I
Amen.
have a 43-year-old, a 38-year-old, and a 34-year-old,
Wow.
and 5 grandbabies.
Wow. And so, before we get into your interview, can you tell people who you are and where you reside at right now?
My name is Faye McCormick. I live in Sanford, North Carolina, in a little community called Tempton. Well, I was where I was raised at. I'm a
Right,
country
right.
girl. Um, I'm a go-getter in life. I've done a lot of things. I just recently turned 63.
Wow. And you and your mom have the same birthday as well.
Yes, she turned 82 when I turned 63.
Wow. And so, I was looking, and your favorite quote is "Life and favor. You don't know my story. If you didn't, if you did, it would blow your mind." And I read some of your stuff. And you also said when back in December when we supposed to have done this interview, you said never forget where you came from and who helped you when you needed them. And why is that so important to you?
It's very important because me being a young single parent mom at the time, I had to have people in my life to help me with child care.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Oris Sutherland's grandmother, Miss Edie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She babysit he's 38 years old now. So she and D-Baby, they helped me out a lot. I'll never forget them, even though they're not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They were there for me when I couldn't have a close family member that was there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why I always say never forget where you come from, and never forget the bridge that you came over, because you might need to go back over it. So, and I try to instill that in my kids and my grandkids, but when everybody get a certain age, they kind of do their own thing.
You're
But
right about that.
I enjoy, I found out years ago my calling is working with people. So that's basically all I've done the past 35 years. And I will help anybody that's in need of help. I'm also a resource person.
Mm-hmm.
I've also worked for the community action as well, which are, your Aunt Linda.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
she and I went to school together, and we also went to junior college together.
Oh, okay.
So
And do you find that a lot of times we get that mentality when we feel we have arrived, we get so uppity that we forget the people that was there for us when we were in our struggles, or should I say life challenging moments. Do you find that it's hard for us to go back because we don't want to go back and help other people because we feel like they may want something else from us when we are still climbing the ladder, if you will?
right, right. Well, my take on that is that regardless of where you come from, or because I've grown a lot in my life, because I come from nothing and tried to bring myself up with the grace of God and a few good people
Right.
around me. But I'll never forget. That's the reason why I love reaching out and helping people. You know,
Absolutely.
I've just recently tried to get up off the ground as a life coach, because
Mm-hmm.
my degree is in behavior science. So I wanted to be a social behavior life coach.
Hmm.
And most of the work that I've done since I took this on, it's been free. You know, I don't mind helping anybody, but you need to get your worth out of, put all your time and energy into somebody. But I would do it for anyone for free that's really trying. I've taken my time and took people out to the doctor,
Mm-hmm.
to the hospital, wherever they needed to go, just to get the kind of help that they needed to make it to the next day. Because I know what it's like to not have no one. When you're looking around, there's no one. So you got to try to figure it out for yourself. And when you're a mother and have kids and you got family and bills, you got to figure out something.
And that's where the carriage truly steps in, because when you're a single mom and you're like, wow, like, what do I do? Because I was a single mom too, and you want the best for your children, and you never go into life thinking, oh well, I'm going to be single raising these children. Because when I was married to my kid's father, and when him and I, divorced and separated, I was like, wow, like, what do I do now? What
But
do you
you
do?
had to reach out there and do something. Can't just stand there now with that kid looking in your face.
Exactly, exactly. And I remember my girlfriend Robin, she's on here. Thank you guys for tuning in. I remember when I was in that time of being separated, and I was just like, I can't get it together. And she made it so clear to me that if you don't survive, they don't survive, and you have two little
Absolutely.
people that need you. So she was like, you need to get it together. And so that was like, oh yeah, I do need to get it together. But sometimes our situation will cause us not to have the courage to get it together. But when we have people, like you say, that supports us to help us get there, then we're able to tap into the courage that we need to survive.
Yeah, along my way, I had most of my life, most of my supervisors were women,
Mm-hmm.
and we got along very well, and they were like sisters to me.
Right.
Um, I went back to get my bachelor's. I was working for Moore County for Sand Hills Mental Health Center
Mm-hmm.
for the adolescent drug treatment program, and my supervisor then was Pam Wiggins, and I told her that I wanted to go back to school and get my bachelor's, and she just automatically said I could do it, and
Right.
I did it, and I have another mentor. My supervisor I had when I was working for Chatham County Health Department, which I'm still in touch with these ladies
Mm-hmm.
today, is Mary Linker. Uh, she has her own practice in Chapel Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I have Robin Williams when she was working for Central Carolina Community College.
Right.
I've had so many women, most of them been women to encourage me, because I guess I come from a family where everybody's been women anyway. So
Right. Because you had seven, it was seven of you, right?
yes,
So,
eight. It was.
so are all of you still close? And how is that growing up with so many siblings?
Well, the first four of us was my grandmother grew. We lived with her, so we're pretty close. And I'm pretty much close to all of them, but I'm closer to the ones that I actually grew up in the house with. I'm kind of like their sister and their mother. My supervisor used to tell me, because I was a social worker, and
Right.
I would share some of my things, my personal things with her. Told me I need my own social service, and I need to hang a sign in the road that says, Faye Social Service, Family and Friends First. So I'm like the dumping ground.
Well,
And
and
it's
you know, and
okay.
I wouldn't say the dumping ground, because I'm quite sure people knew that they can trust you, and they knew that they could depend on you, and that's the beauty of it. When
And
you
they know I
have
was going to do what I could do.
exactly, and that's the beauty of it, when you have those support systems that will love you in spite of your life challenges, or even still if you're going through life challenges, to
Right.
see, because you know, people sometimes see the best in us when we don't see the best in us, depending on where we're at in our lives.
Because I've touched a lot of lives over the years, and I'm very happy that I can say that, because I've met a lot of good people, and a lot of them, because I've worked with most of my work lied with teenagers and young children. I have worked with the elderly, because I used to be a social worker out at Sanford Help and Rehab out here in
Right.
Sanford, back in the 80s. So I worked with everybody, I say from birth to 105.
Right.
Because I love people. That's my calling, day or night. If somebody's in trouble, even one of my clients could call me now from Chatham County. If they're in trouble, I'm going to see about them.
Shannon says, you have been a mentor for her since I can't, this light is blocking me. I don't know if you can see that.
Since she was an adolescent.
Yes.
That's how I met you.
Yeah. And you know, 'cause I'm a people person too, but a lot of people, you know, everybody has their own perception of people, but I love people, and my heart is for women, especially for women to thrive, women to be the best that they can be. And one of my guests, I don't know if you were on, Deidre, we was talking about, no, it was Stephanie. We was talking about, you know, how we get that mindset of crabs in the barrel, you know.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so when I was talking to her, you know, the Holy Spirit was like, if you think about a barrel and you think about all these crabs that you dump in there, and then everybody is scrounging, you know, the crabs are scrounging to get to the top.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And that's
Right.
how we are as people. We're scrounging to get to the top. But if you get to the top and you reach back and you grab me, we can pull each other up instead of
Yes.
trying to pull each other down, because you know, in a barrel, the crabs are slipping and sliding. They're trying to get to the top.
Right.
You know,
And
they're
that
trying to
pulled you
get
right
to the
back.
top.
Yeah. So we just try
So
to help each other up.
exactly, because you know, when you think of a crab, you know they have the long claws, and so if I get to the top or you get to the top, you can reach your claw back and grab me and say, "Come on, sister, come on, brother, I got you," and we can all get there together. We can all pull each other up, but we
Pull
have to
up.
change our mindset with that mentality, because a lot of times we don't want each other to succeed because we feel that you're going to get ahead, and we
Right.
shouldn't be that way.
That's right. We should be willing to help each other, because there are subjects that I may know about and you may not know about. We can help each other along the way and grow
Amen.
together
Amen. And
and do
so,
God's work.
and do God's work. And you know, and that's the thing. When we know who we are and whose we are, that becomes easy, because we was all out here wilding out. But when we decided to make a conscious decision to say, Lord, I can't do this thing called life anymore without you.
That's right. I need them every day. I've been through
And
some
you know what?
challenges.
Every second of the day. And when I was reading your autobiography, and you were saying that you was in the county, and you went to an all-black school, and you was in the 5th
Hmm.
grade. Did you know that there was going to be a change once they integrated the school? And how did you, at a young age, learn about the prejudice, when you were in school? Because a lot of times we think prejudice is only with black and white, but were there prejudice against black and black since the school was all black?
Right. Well, from the first 5 years of my school, I was going to all black school, and then they integrated when I was in the 5th grade. And I kind of knew something was going on, but over at the high school, but by the time I got to Lee Senior, everything had kind of narrowed out. So I've always been a friendly person. I've never had any trouble getting along with anyone. So it didn't really bother me a whole lot, because by the time I got old enough to understand, everything had kind of leveled out in this county. But it was frightening when I was little. I won't forget it, because see, I went to a little school out here in the country called New Hope School. It used to be a training school. So it was way out here in the country. And when we went uptown, so yeah, I came from right out here in the sticks. I'm back in Tempton now. As a matter of fact.
You know what? I'm a country girl at heart. I am from Sanford, born and raised, in Sanford as well. And you also said, you talked about the rioting at school. How did that affect you?
It had me to the point, I was in middle school when it was going on in high school. It had me almost afraid to go to high school. But when I got there, things had settled down. I was just kind of, just listening. As kids, you just listen to what other people are saying. And once you go through it, I wasn't frightened at all. I was frightened by listening to what other people were saying.
Right. And so
I had a pretty good position.
So when you went to Lee Senior, was it all, at that time, y'all had already integrated? So it was, all nationality.
Black and white.
So was that a eye-opener or a shocker, if you will, once you integrated with other people that didn't look like you?
It was an eye-opener, and it was a learning experience, and it was teaching me how to communicate outside of my community with other people. And like I said, I've never had much trouble with anyone, so I've gotten along with everybody for the most part, even all my years of work. I just always enjoyed what I've done, and I know that my calling is being a helper, and I'll be a helper till the day till I die to somebody.
Amen. I think, yeah. But let me ask you
now,
this.
I do grandchildren all the time now.
But
I know you see me on Facebook.
Well, I see, because I saw where y'all were in Moore County, they were playing in the snow. But
I just got home.
Because when I saw that, I was like, ooh, let me make sure, that we're going to do it. And I'm just so thankful that we are able to do this interview, because you and I have been trying this interview.
I know. It had me nervous. It had me so nervous.
And, and before I came on, I was like, Lord, I said, we're going to do this interview.
You said we were.
we're going to do it. And so now here you are. You graduate from high school, and then you decided to get married.
My first love. Matter of fact, I married him twice. I married him twice.
And so this was interesting as I was reading. You said you didn't march with your senior class. Was that by choice, or you felt you didn't need to do that at that moment because you had gotten married?
That's why I had gotten married, and I had my first child. I was supposed to, my class was 76, 77, but I didn't actually finish high school until 1980. But after I had this baby, I figured, hey, I need to do something because I know that I'm a talker, and I know working in a factory wasn't for me. I figured that out early. So I had to go back and find something that I could do that would be rewarding for me, and not like work. It'd be work and enjoyment. Because I started nursing, and I kind of switched over from nursing. And then I ended in general office, and I finally finished in criminal justice. It was always searching for something with people.
Well, I tried criminal justice, but then I found out that
That's how I
knew
ended up being a social worker, because criminal justice wasn't. They gave me an interview at a prison one time, and I didn't like it.
and you know, and I think that's why I didn't complete mine, and then I went into education, because just like you, I did CNA work, and I did one-on-one with kids that was, you know, had different challenges. But when I went in the education system after my criminal justice experience, once we took a tour to the prison in Raleigh, I was like,
That's where I was when I went for that interview. You know how you go on an interview and you be praying for the job? I was praying not to get it.
girl, when I went into prison and they, it was Central Prison, when I went in there, you know, it was whole, we all went in there and stuff. And so our professor, I don't know if you knew him, Willie Nixon, he was at Sandhill. And so he was an instructor there.
He was my instructor also.
Yeah, and so we went, and so he was like, just stay calm, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, we can do this. But needless to say, when you get in there, because you used to being free, if you will,
Right.
and once you go in, you know, they're scanning you, and then every door you go through, they're closing the door behind you, and I'm thinking,
Yeah. Like you're gonna be standing there for a while.
right, and I'm thinking, am I gonna have to, you know, are we gonna get up out of here? And I'm thinking all these thoughts, like, is there gonna be a riot up in here while we're in here? I had no idea. But that was a point
people
where
hollering at you.
yeah, and I was like, no, I was like, this is not for me. And so that's when I went to working with children, because I'm like, I knew that being a criminal justice major was not for me. Not because
I didn't have the personality for it, because I'm so friendly. I probably would let everybody go home.
yeah. Exactly. But so what was the hardest thing for you not to walk with your peers?
I wanted to real bad, because you know you wait for that way to graduate, the date that you do graduate.
Right.
But
My
I was
friend
going
Robin
so
said
fast.
she did it for 3 years. She worked in the prison for 3 years. No, when she used
I
to
was
go
growing
there,
up so
and I'd be
fast.
like,
I was growing up so fast, and I had to grow up fast because, like I said, DSS took us from my mother, so I kind of had to be. I never actually had a childhood,
right.
and I was also told by a counselor that I need to go back and get some of that, even at my age, but because they put me straight in an adult position, and so I've been in that position all my life. So I'm just learning how to relax and enjoy myself.
Wow. And
Because I
so
always something or somebody all the time.
when you was removed from your mom, when you was put in this position, you at that point you didn't think about Faye. You thought about siblings, trying to get them where they
Take
need
care
to
of my
be.
brothers and sisters.
Right. And so for you, how at that age, how was that hard for you? And what was it like when you went to bed at night after you've done all this, and you know you had to take care of your siblings? What did they feel when the day was over?
We were pretty happy at night. Everybody helped get the homework done. Grandma did the best she could with us. But we
Right,
were pretty
right.
happy. We were pretty happy little kids out here with Grandma, because actually when we came with Grandma, it was a better environment for us. You
Amen.
know,
Amen.
the youngest one of us at the time wasn't but 10 months old. I was 12 and I was the oldest, so I had all the others behind me. So
So
you know,
you really, so if it's fair to say, your whole youth, you was walking and operating in an adult role.
I had no
Because if
choice. I
you're
was put there.
right,
I was put there.
and if you're only 12 and your little one is 10 months, that was a lot of responsibility for
I
us.
even tried to sign Mama in the hospital to have her, and they wouldn't let me because I was too young. I remember that.
And so, and I don't know if your mom is still living or not.
She is.
So
Bless her
let
heart.
me ask you this question, and you can refrain from asking this. Did you at any point have any bitterness towards her? And if you did, have you to this day forgiven her and made it right for
I'm
you?
so glad you asked me that. I am so glad you asked me that. Yes, growing up as an adolescent, I had a lot of resentments against my mom and my dad.
Right,
But as I became a parent myself,
mm-hmm,
I learned about love and
mm-hmm,
respect and stuff. I had to, in order for me to be the person that I wanted to be, I
right,
had to go with my heart and I had to forgive both my parents. And I
wow.
do. I have a relationship with them both now.
That,
And
and
they're both still living.
and that's powerful, because we can get so, oh no, I've never. But if the
Bitter.
truth be told, when you can be honest with yourself and your feelings, then that allows you to heal. Because if you hadn't, you still might not be in a good place.
I would have took that behavior same right on with me. Just
Right.
like kids in a home, you could teach them certain behaviors and they'll take it right out there in the world. If you don't stop it, if it's not,
Absolutely. And
your
and just
grandma
like
did a
your
good
mom,
job.
she did,
Uh-huh.
and probably at the time, she did the best that she knew how.
She did. She
She
did.
did the
Now,
best
see,
that
I
she
see
knew
that.
how.
Yeah.
Yes. And when you were probably in it, all you probably saw was abandonment, rejection. Why wasn't we good enough that you couldn't do and provide for us? And when we look back, then we say, wow, she had to do this out of love.
I was determined to be a different parent. And I actually, being a different parent and being a single parent, I want to put this out here too. When you are liking in your life and you come along and you try to give your kids, sometimes we give too much.
Yes, yes. Say
We can
that
destroy them
again.
by just giving. And I got, they're grown, they're doing okay, but they're spoiled, even to this day.
Right, right. And and that's the beauty of it, because and like I was talking to my other guest, I said there comes a time in our life, adult life, some people do it before, and just like you and I, you have to stop blaming your situation, however it may have been. Just like you can still right now say, well, mama left, mama and daddy did this, but at
Mhm.
some point we have to say, did this affect me? Yes, it did. Did I not understand? Yes. But at some point we have to stop allowing ourselves to use that as a crutch to stay stuck where we're at,
Because
because
you won't grow.
you won't grow. And whether it's, if it happened to you, if you're 18 or whether you're 12, at some point you have to say, I may not have had the best life, but I had the life that was given to me.
Hmm.
And now
And
I
I
can
took
do
the hand,
one
I was
or
there,
two.
and I done the best I could with it.
Exactly. And now you have to decide, are you going to stay stuck, or are you going to keep blaming others for your mess ups because you want to stay there? Because you could have easily
I
said,
could have went
because
either way.
yeah,
But thank God.
you could have said at 12 years old, and you could have used this all your life and say, well,
Mhm.
my life was jacked up. I had to raise my siblings at 12 years old. And you could have started doing any and everything that you wanted to do to make it
To
right.
rebel. Hmm.
Right. But it doesn't. And like I said, we have to start taking accountability for our own actions. We can't keep blaming mama. We can't keep blaming the system. We have to take
Hmm.
accountability for ourselves and say, you know what? I have done some stuff in my life, but I am tired of being sick and tired. So now I have to take accountability for Faye.
Hmm.
I have to take accountability for Donna. Was it hard? Yes, it was. But if we have the courage, and that's why I chose that word for you, you had
Hmm.
the courage to know that you wanted better, you wanted more.
Yes. And just the kids, my kids, having my kids, I did it for me, but I did it for them too.
Right.
Because if I do it for me, I'm going to do it for them.
Exactly.
Because
I'm trying to read
if
what
I'm
you
healthy, then I can help them.
Right. Can you read what Shanna said? Because I can't see it on my end.
Let me
It says,
see.
how did you forgive? I'm still, she
She
says,
still have things that bother her about her parents.
I forgive them, but I'm still
Struggling with that.
struggling. And and this is what I would say, and then you can chime in too.
Mm.
Once you get in a place of forgiveness, and I always tell people, is your forgiveness from the lip or from the heart?
Right.
That's the difference. Because if your forgiveness is from the lip, you're gonna always be stuck.
Right.
Because you did it because you felt it was the right thing to do.
But
But if
see,
you
in order for you to
forgive,
heal, you got to deal with it. You got to even if you can talk to your parent, if it's a situation, you got to try to talk these things out. Now, actually, with me just turning 63, I just actually built the relationship that I always wanted with my daddy at the age of 60.
wow.
And that came about when something happened in my family and I needed my dad. I reached out to him and he was the one I thought was going to say no, but he the one that said yes.
Right.
And from that, he became close to my youngest child,
Mm-hmm.
who they taught. And he told my son that he wasn't very proud of the way he did, but he was proud of the way I turned out.
Amen.
And my
Amen.
father's asked for forgiveness. My mother have too. And I told him, you don't have to do that. That's in the seal of forgiveness. You don't.
Yes.
We don't
Yes.
even really. We know. I know. You know. God knows. So we ain't got to dwell on it because we got to grow.
Right. Right.
And if I'd stayed there, I'd have been in the pits right now. And then no telling what my kids would have been like.
And that goes back to your courage. And just like for you, Shannon, when you forgive, you have to be sincere from your heart, because we can have all the
Let
lip
it go and
service.
give it to God.
We can have lip service, and God is saying you ain't forgave you, because I've been in a place of unforgiveness, and I know it eats you away like a cancer,
It does.
because you're still holding on
It's
to
angry.
that
I
stuff.
don't like being angry. I
Yes.
hate being angry.
And then that person, they have moved on, they are living their life, and here you are, you still harboring that stuff.
Bitter.
But when you, family, forgive from here, that's when God can truly,
You give it to him and don't worry about it no more.
and he can,
Just
and
do
he
the
can,
best you can
yeah,
from that day on.
exactly. Because people walking around with unforgiveness, and that's a terrible state to be in, because that would be so bad to be on
You're a
your
walking
dying,
time bomb.
in your dying bed, knowing that you haven't truly forgave from your heart.
Right.
That would be a terrible thing.
And you're like a ticking time bomb because it's there. You didn't
Absolutely.
let it go. You didn't let it go. So it's there.
Yeah.
All you
And
gotta do is pour some water on it and it'll keep growing.
or either you put a Band-Aid on it, and then when the wounds start getting bigger, you have to get a bigger Band-Aid. And then when that gets bigger, then you have to amputate that part of the body, because now it's totally
You didn't let it
infected.
fester.
You know,
You're
so
right.
and so you, and all I can say is, like, you have to forgive from the heart. And like Faye said, you have to sit down and have that heart to heart. And sometimes we don't want to have those heart to hearts because we are mom, or because that's our mom, you know? And you have
And sometimes
to
we just have to listen.
we
You
do.
know.
And sometimes as parents, we don't get it right. Like, I've made a lot of mistakes with my children.
Yeah, they don't give us a manual with them. They just give you the baby.
And say, here you go. And you know, and I used to tell my kids that all the time. I said, I make mistakes. I made mistakes, you know, raising y'all, and thank God for my mom and my brother, them, because like you said, they don't come with a book that tell us how to hook up this TV, and you know, and once we get it, it's gonna be perfect, it's gonna play. They don't tell us that. And so for me, I took a little bit how my grandparents raised me. I took a bit how my mom raised me, and then I mix them together to kind of give my children a balance.
Right.
And you're going to have to
Like
help me read the comments because from where I'm sitting, I can't really see.
let me see, who's that?
Robin said,
God forgive us each and every day for things we do, so we should forgive also. She's absolutely right. You got to let it go. Let it go. It ain't
yes,
worth. It's not worth it.
no. And so, and then, so even when you had your children and you became pregnant, and I put, so even though you had your children, you still was determined to get educated. And
I sure will.
and I love that because it took
I knew
courage.
it was in me. I just had to get the courage and the babysitter so I could go. But I'm very happy about it today. I can
And
go.
that's the beauty of it. And that is so, that's the beauty
I
of
can go
it.
in my office. I got an office here in the house, and I can go in and look around, and all I see is Faye.
Wow.
Certificates, diplomas, all around me. Because you know, when you're in public health, you keep learning. You keep learning.
Keep learning. You
You know,
absolutely.
so that's the reason why I say I've worked in all fields. I can help mostly anybody. You know,
Exactly. And but do you find the key is if they want to be helped?
if they want to be here. I've had some people that waste my time. And when you waste my time, I'm done until you get ready.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I had just taken somebody down to Moore Region to visit a family member of theirs. That's where I was at when I was talking to you. So I took the
Right.
time out and took them. They had a sick family member they wanted to go see. So I said, well, we'll go, you know. I just got to get back in time to try to do my live with Donna.
And I'm so glad we got on. And so now that you're married, you have your babies. And when your marriage, the first time, because you married him twice, right?
Yes.
So we're just gonna keep it honest, open, and transparent.
I know
So
that's right.
if you married him the first time and it didn't work out, people probably asking, why did you do it a second time?
Why did you marry him 11 and a half years later? Because I always loved him. He was my first love. I was 12 and he
Right,
was 13.
right.
So he was born here, but he was raised in New York. So I only got to see him on holidays. So,
Okay,
you know, it's one of those stories. And
right.
when we separated, our daughter was 5 months old.
Mm-hmm.
She's 43.
Right.
He was going to New York to get a job. This was the plan. And me and Vaughn was coming, but we never went.
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up back here 12 years later, and we got remarried. And then, you know, he passed away. So I got married again after him. But
Okay.
I think it was in God's plan for us to get back together. It had
Right,
to be.
right, right. And so was the second time different from the first time? Because the first time you were young, correct?
Yeah. The second time was different because I had my boys
Okay.
and they're not his.
Okay.
But we were a lot more mature, but a lot had went on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can't get back to where you was at.
No. Mm-mm.
You know, you want to think about where I was when I was 18 the first time, but it's not like that anymore. It's totally
Amen.
different.
It's
You know,
totally different.
totally different. And then, you know, I don't know if I shared with you or not. I lived with liver damage for over 30 years, and I just got
Wow.
healed 6 years ago. So I was trying to go to school. I had health problems, had a crazy husband. I'm trying to get the kids off to school. But thank God, by the grace of God, I'm still here today
Amen.
and
Amen.
smiling. That's how most people know me, is from my smile, because I smile a lot. I
And
think I got that from my dad.
you always have a smile. And I never forget when my cousin Dion had the cancer
Yes,
thing in the park.
he's, he's
And
a smile.
and that's when you had met my late husband and you was
Yes, I met
talking.
him.
And it's so powerful when, like, now we can laugh at our growth we can laugh at some of the mistakes we've made, because my friend Robin is on here, and
And
her
be
and I
proud of
been
it.
friends. We've been friends 30 plus years, and sometimes, you know, and me and her was just talking, and I said, girl, I said, we done been through some stuff and did some stuff. And she said, yeah, she said, we weren't that bad. I was like, no, we wasn't. But to think of how God still had his hand on us
Yes, yes.
when
And
we were
still does
out
today.
there in our mess, and then when we come to our senses and he's sitting back and be like, my God, I was waiting for you, girl. When are you coming? And that's the
Could have been
beauty
gone.
of it.
Been in situations in life, could have been dead a long time ago.
But doesn't it make you feel good when you can serve a God like that have kept you in your mess? And like I said, you might not be doing the same thing, but we was out there sinning, doing whatever we could do,
Whatever, yes.
not
What they call it,
knowing.
having a good time.
And you know,
Little did we
and
know.
then you find Christians today that once they feel they've came on this side of glory, and they be like, oh no, I didn't do that. Yes, you did. You may not have been doing what Faye was doing or what Donna was doing, but
They was doing
you
what
were
they was
still,
doing back then.
exactly, and you were still sinning, and he still kept us, whether we was drunk, laid up, high, whatever the case may
Whatever,
be. He still
whatever
kept
mess we
us.
had going on.
And
That's true.
then we get on this side and we don't want to tell people our testimony. And for me, I say, who am I to keep my testimony from other people? Because to me, you're denying him and say, well, no, But he
Yeah.
allowed us to live and be at this place so we can help the next sister, the next brother, and say, listen, I don't care what you're in, how deep you're in it. You can be in the gutter. He will go down there with you if you allow him to, and pull you up, because we've been there.
That's right.
We may
That's
not
why I
have went to
enjoyed
the
working.
gutter, but we was in the gutter.
That's why I enjoyed working in Chatham County as the adolescent parenting coordinator there, because a lot of these team girls that I was working with, they remind me of me years ago. And I used to share my story with them when I had parenting meetings and stuff like that, because I want them to feel comfortable. And whenever I go out to do a home visit, I didn't walk in the house and turn up my nose.
Amen.
I had one girl tell me one time, she said, well, I need to clean up. I said, I didn't come to see your house. I come to see you and your baby.
Amen.
And if y'all fine, I done my job. I didn't come here to judge you. And so I got along with all my girls. I'm still in touch with a lot of them now.
But you know
And
what?
my high schoolers too.
And your impact showed that, because like you said, people are so conditioned when people in health field, whether it's a social worker, whether it's a home care provider, they have been conditioned by others to, you know, when they come and they turn their nose up. But then when they find people like you that come in there and say, hey, I don't care what your living conditions is, because you know what, it's still by the grace of God that I got a place to stay and that I have a decent place to stay. I come to see about you.
That's right. That's my job. You and your baby fine. You don't look abused. Everything look okay. My job is done.
Because you know what it's like. You know what it's like to be a single mom.
Yeah.
You
And
know what
somebody's
it's
riding
like
your
to
back
not
all the time.
you know what it's like not to always have.
That's right. Absolutely.
You
And
know.
I enjoyed my work so much to the place that I'm, like I said, I work for free.
And you know
You know,
what?
if it's gonna help somebody, I work for free.
But you may work for free, but God will restore you and give you what you need
Oh yes.
to keep going.
He has given me so much, sweetheart.
And you've had
So much.
so many challenges, but yet and still your determination, your courage is continuing to keep you.
And I'm gonna keep smiling.
And so
I'm gonna keep smiling.
So now when you're married to your second husband, right? How long
My
did
second
that?
husband was the second husband. Okay, the third time, but the second husband.
So,
Okay.
So how long did you stay married? Was you married most of your adult life up until what point?
I was married up in my adult life, but I've been more single than married. I put it like that. I've been doing my own thing for a long time. And then maybe it's my independency. I learned over the years from coming from the childhood that I had and dealing with my kids. I learned how to stand up, and my grandmother. I learned how to stand on my own.
Right,
I
right.
never relied, even when I was married, I never relied on anyone. If it ain't in my hand, it ain't mine. I'm not gonna count somebody else's stuff, somebody else's money, because it ain't mine, really.
I like how you put that, you know, and people probably looking like, well, but it's so great that you can still laugh and have a smile, even with some of your adversities. And, you know, even with your, you know, your sickness that you've been healed from. And whenever you was diagnosed with your liver stuff, how did that shake you in any way?
I was terrified, to be honest, because I had hep C and there was no cure for it.
Right.
And I was almost to the point, I almost wanted to quit school and everything, but I still looked at those three little kids and say, no, mama, you can't quit.
Mm-hmm.
You can't quit. And I said, well, Dad, I don't have AIDS, but it ain't no cure for it. I might as well have. I started looking. And then I started going to my, I was in 4 research studies over the years. And I got became very close to my GI doctors. And they always tell me, don't give up hope, because they're working on this every day. And they kept me going, and the grace of God, because I know that God didn't bring me from being taken away from my mother from DSS to get me this far to leave me now. I just knew he didn't. I'm still here because my doctor told me about 15 years ago that most people that had liver damage, well, what I had, as long as I had it, they were either dead on a transplant list, and I never made it to neither one. And I got here.
And then we ask ourselves, who would want to serve a God like that? Who wouldn't want to give
People didn't even know
our testimonies of how good and amazing he is?
People saw me smiling all the time. They never knew I was going back and forth to Chapel Hill. They never knew I was trying to go to school, because that wasn't really none of their business.
Yeah,
but I had
that
all
was
that
your
going
determination.
on. Yeah, I had all that going along with the smile on my face.
And for you, did you smiling every day, was that also part of your medicine for you as well?
Absolutely. I was determined to smile anyway through whatever, and that's I guess that's my MO. I smile a lot. Everybody tell you, Faye McCormick smile a lot.
But it's contagious. It's contagious.
But it makes people feel warm and welcome.
Yes. And
you know, if people feel comfortable talking to you, they will tell you anything, especially adolescents. If adolescents feel close to you, you ain't got to ask them nothing. I used to call them in the office and they just start telling me stuff. They said, Miss Faye, we'd like you.
They knew that Miss Faye wasn't going to judge them. She was going to love them at the place that they were
They
at.
said I was laid back.
Well, and you know what? And that's good, because our teens, you know, and you live in Sanford, you know, I'm from Sanford, and just to hear the amount of teens that are drug overdosing.
Oh Lord, it's terrible, just terrible.
And I'm thinking, where did we go wrong as a people? Because I remember growing up, if I was at your house and I got in trouble, your grandmother or whoever had permission to discipline me and go home, and I would still get the same discipline again.
Yeah.
And nobody was mad because Faye disciplined Donna, you know, because when I got home and you let Miss Louise know,
right,
you know, why are you down there clowning and acting crazy? But we have gotten away from that. And, you know, and when I talk to my mom, I'm just like,
And these parents want to go to school and they want to fight the teacher. They don't even know what happened.
girl, I am in education. And when you see parents do that, then you say, that's why they don't have respect for the teachers, because the parents are coming over here acting crazy. And then you wonder why our kids are on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
They're shooting each other every day.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing stuff that they have no business doing because parents are trying to be best friends
Right.
with their children.
And you just can't. I mean, you know,
And
you just can't.
I have 2 grown boys.
Because they lose respect for you. They think they can just say whatever.
And you know, and like I said, my children, they used to tell me I was lame. They because
I'm old now. I'm old. You old now. I say, you know what I tell them? Old is wise.
old is wise, yeah. And you know, and they used to be like, oh, you so lame. Because this is my thing. And I always tell my children, I have an investment in you.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna get that investment out of you. Now, however, whatever you do after you leave my presence and I get you and make sure you get through school, then you're going to do what you need to do, whatever that may be. Because I always tell my children, when you go to school, you don't have a last name. You carry my last name and you're representing me. And you're not going to make me look foolish. You're not going to make me look foolish. And so when we start to get our roles mixed up as parent, who's the parent, who's the child, do you think that's when Satan comes in and start to wreak havoc on our children?
Yes, because that's his job. He's just doing his job, and we allow him in.
Yes.
And he'll come right in. You know, I had a lady say one time, she said the enemy can come in on the back of a fly because he'll keep bothering you. Keep swatting them away. And that is true. If you are doing okay, see that your kids come home with something. And there you go. And I told my kids when they were in school, tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Amen.
Don't have me getting off work, driving. I went from Pittsburgh to Sanford, over there at the high school, and I'm sitting there trying to defend you, and you the one looking like got both of us looking like a clown. I ain't with that.
And you have to keep it real with that, because I told my kids the same thing. I said, I will support you 100%. But whenever I have to go to that school, you better make sure you've told me everything.
Absolutely.
But
I done took off work. Got way down there too.
Girl, and you know what? We have to get back to the basics. We have to get back to how grandmas raised us. We have to get back to yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And stop trying to say, well, you know, I want to have a relationship. I want to have a relationship with my children too. But at the end of the day, I want my children to respect me as mom.
That's right.
Not even respect me and say, oh yeah, Donna, you know, yeah, oh Donna, where's she at? I don't know. No, I want my children to respect me, because our children are a representation of who we are.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Afford to allow them to wreak havoc, because then they start sabotaging their own lives.
Yes, honey. Been there, done that too.
Yes, they will sabotage their own lives. And that's why, you know, I tell my children, and I've always told them, I make mistakes. I made mistakes. I may not have always got it right with you guys, but one thing I can tell you, you guys are my pride and joy, and you make me want to be a better person. You make me want to be a better mom, but I haven't always had it right. And, you know, and when I divorced from their father, like you said, they don't understand until, like you, at 12, you didn't understand. But then when
I was angry and I was mad. Yes, I was angry and I was mad.
And you can come back and have your children say, thank you. Now I get it. Now I understand why you just didn't let me hang at Jesse's house, you know, anybody's house. you know.
That's why. That's why I had to find it in my heart to really forgive my parents,
Right,
so I could be a good parent.
right.
And even to this day, my dad is 80, my mom is 82.
Mm-hmm.
I just built a good relationship since I've been an adult, but I would never go into my mother's room or my father's room and be disrespectful. Because even though
Amen.
that I'm grown right now, I'm still their child. And if I
Exactly.
go and disrespect them, I might pull out in front of a car after I leave them. See, children don't understand that. You can't act like that and think you're gonna be prosperous because you're not.
And you know, and you said something so powerful. When you had to be grown at 12, and you know, and now looking back, what do we tell kids now? Stay a kid while you can. Don't, you know,
Enjoy, yeah.
don't try to live, you know, a fast life. But here you are, you wasn't trying to live a fast life. You were put in that position.
I'm on my live.
You good.
I
You
had to
was
tell my sister, she called me. I told her I was on my live.
and you was put in that position at 12. And we're and at this day and age, we're telling 12-year-olds, stay 12, you know,
Yes,
stay a
Lord.
kid. And you didn't have a choice, but yet and still, in spite of all the life challenges, you still doing great and amazing things because you chose that route for yourself because you wanted more. And when
And
you
I wasn't
said
handed everything. I had to work.
work,
You know, kids
that's
now they get handed everything.
everything. And so when you said going through all this made you a better mom, was that your key focus as you were growing, that you knew you, even though you had these life challenges at 12, already been a mom, if you will, because
Right.
you'd already been a mom. But did it make you even the more when you start having your children and you start looking at them and saying, I want more for them. I have to
Yes,
give
yes.
them more.
Now, my baby sister, well, my third to the baby sister, the one I based Tracy, I think you know her.
Hmm.
Tracy, Tracy tripped me up because I raised Tracy. Tracy was the best child. She didn't do a lot of hanging out. And then I
Hmm.
was working with teenagers at the time. So I thought when my kids became teenagers, it was a whole different story.
Hmm.
Because I thought that, well, if it's gonna be this easy, I shouldn't have your own children. Everybody told me, said, well, when it comes to your kids, it's gonna be different. But
Hmm.
Tracy was the I tell all the kids in the family, Tracy was the last of the good ones. Tracy really, I hope she's listening. Tracy was a perfect adolescent. She came home from school. I didn't have to tell her what to do. She knew what to do. But these cats now, you got to put their hand on everything.
No, and you know, and it's almost like you said, you know, you work with kids that have challenges or whatever. It's almost like, you know, when you work in the education field, you have kids that may have AU and all this kind of stuff. And you might have to do some modeling for these modern day kids now
You
because
have to. You
they
have to
don't
because
know
they're
how to
not getting
clean
it at
a
home.
room. They don't know how to do anything because, like you said, everything is handed to them. So they don't know how to clean a room. They don't know how to pick up a broom. Girl, and we didn't get allowance for cleaning our room.
No, that's what you're
We
supposed to do.
we got money because that's what our parents want us to have. You
But they
know,
didn't owe us. They didn't owe it. They didn't owe it
not
to us.
not a thing, not a thing. And so now that you have your business, where do you run your Gentle Care outreach support services at?
I would do basically everything from the house because I have an office.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do outreach like if I have to, like what I did today. I'll go and do something for somebody just because. Um, so I'm basically here. I got a Facebook page. I need to work on it a little bit. My son's supposed to be fixing that up for me, but
Okay.
whatever. But I'm planning on by the spring is to be out there a little more because I'm finding a challenge as becoming a life coach because there should be some kind of state testing line because right now everybody that I'm talking to get my certification to say that they want me to go back and pay $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000. I'm tired of paying college loans. I just got my college loan paid off at the age of 50. I mean, I'm 63 now. I don't want to spend another 20 years in school. it's just, I guess it's just knowing people, putting yourself out there, like people that know me and know what I do, you know, they come, a lot of people just come to me, or they'll call me, or they'll ask my kids because they say, didn't your mother used to do this and she used to do that?
Right, right.
I
And
had
so,
fun when I was in
and
public health.
so uh do you have teenagers reaching out to you?
Oh
You know,
yeah, a lot.
young mothers and stuff. And so with that, how has the dynamics of this day and age, modern day children, if you will, what are some things that our children, especially teen girls and guys, what are they struggling with?
A lot of them struggling. It's kind of hard for someone to talk about sex to their parents. Believe it or not, I think my grandchildren feel more comfortable talking to me than they do their own parents. And I used to, when I worked in public health, you know, by me being access to the health department, I used to bring my teenage boys condoms home.
Right.
And their friends found out, can you tell your mother to get me some of those things? I said, well, at least they're trying to practice safe sex.
Right. Because
you know, like you say, if you get to know teenagers, they'll just tell you almost anything.
But do you think we as adults forget that we were once teenager and they are at the age that they're still trying to find out who we are? Because if truth be known, we as adults, some of us still trying to find out who we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I think that they have a big problem with discussing sex with their parents. But I'm glad I'm able to say, and all three of my kids are now adults and have children of their own. I was always open with them.
Right.
I told them I didn't sugarcoat nothing. This is what it's going to be like, and this is what it's going to take to get this. Yes, if you're not willing to put it in it, then you can't dream for that big house or that nice car. If you're not going to work, nobody's going to give it to you.
Amen. Amen. You know, and kids think that, you know, and we set our children up, especially if they're playing basketball or some type of sports, you know, and I used to tell my children, you know, you can play sports, that's fine. But what happens when you get hurt and you don't have education? What do? You can get a job, but like you said, you have to work. Nothing is going to just fall into your lap.
Right.
And that's why we have to encourage kids. Some college ain't for everybody. And that's
you always got to have a plan B.
You always, because when we were coming up, it was easy. But now these kids have it so hard. And, you know, when I talk to my mom, you know, it breaks my heart to see our town, our small town in Sanford, how our young adults are leaving at a rapid pace.
Yes.
Because of these drugs, you know, and this.
For no reason at all, really. You know, my grandmother, bless her soul, she's in heaven now. She always says, she said, we are going to die, but we can rush our time away from here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just by making unwise choices.
Unwise choices. Yes, yes. And, you know, and we have to come to a place of saying.
And we got to be humble, too.
Yeah.
We got to be humble in what we do and what we say.
And that's me. I love people.
You're a sweetheart, Donna. You're a sweetheart.
Oh, thank you. And I just thank you for always just supporting Hot Topics with Donna. And, you know, when God gave me this platform, I had no idea, Miss Faye, where this was going to go. But I'm telling you, every week you see how people, only because you look a certain way, people have really been through some stuff.
Yeah, thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Exactly. I'll be rough. And I mean, I'm not fixed up today, but I would be rough.
But that's okay. But you've seen it firsthand. Some of the people on my platform, how they have been through some stuff.
Yes.
And then
that's why I like watching it, because like you say, it's down to earth. It's down to earth. Nobody's putting on airs or anything like that.
And when he gave it to me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna do what you say. But I know this is my ministry.
And then when you asked me, my antennas went up, and I was like, they say you don't supposed to share, you don't supposed to tell your story until you're ready. So I guess I'm ready now.
and you know, and the funny thing is, and you hear it all the time. When people come on here, they be like, "Girl, they be like, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about." And so one of the ladies, Tam, you remember the one do the eyelashes? She said she was trying her best all day to be like, "Nah, I ain't gonna do this." You know, and I told her, you know, because I started, our team has started sending people out, you know, a different like regulations or whatever. And she was like, "Girl, I don't know if I got 2 hours." And so the Lord was like, "Call her." And I was like, "Listen." She was like, "I got kids." I said, "I don't care if you got kids. I got kids too." I said, "You might subject to hear my daughter come in here and ask me for something." And I said, "But if your kids in the background," I said, "people know that we have kids."
Right.
That if your grandkids was to come on right now,
we're just normal human beings.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is, when people come on here, they're like, "Wow, I just can't believe how awesome and amazing you are, just being who you are."
Because you make people feel comfortable. And when people feel comfortable, they can, because I was wondering, the first time we were supposed to go on, and it didn't get on, I had papers, I had notes, I had cards. Today I'm sitting here with just the phone in my hand. I said, well, I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm not practicing anything because it's my story and I know where it comes. I know, you know.
Exactly. And that's where, and I'm gonna tell you, my girlfriend always tell me, like when I first started, girl, I used to be so nervous, but you know, when I was selling my jewelry, I used to always give encouraging word at the end. And then God said, "Okay, I need you to be on this side. I need you to take it from that." And so, girl, I would have all these questions, and I still write questions down, but He's given me the level of courage and confidence to know how to talk to people, how to ask questions that don't make people feel less than or whatever. Yeah. And you know, I even had a guy on my show. He even talked about being depressed as a man, and he was like, "I've never shared that before." And so when people come on and share their story, I don't take it for granted, because it's time for us to take masks off. So
that's right.
Absolutely. Open and transparent, so people can say, because I look like this, girl, sometimes I have to go in there, stuff on a little makeup or whatever, but this is how I have to present myself. But at the end of the day, I am just Donna with the same issues some people may have, just trying to survive.
Yes.
Just trusting God that, you know what? Hey, I don't know how this is going to get done, but I trust you that it's going to get done. I may not feel like getting up today, but with your strength, I can get up today. I may not have the courage to keep doing this, but every time I come on week after week after week, you show me who I am. You give me
He'll give you an idea. You sleep. When you wake up in the morning, there it is.
Yeah. And so that's why I don't take this platform for granted. And that's why here our slogan is, we interview ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their community, because that's what they're doing. And you see me, I interview, you know, people that's doing movies, single parents, everybody, because whoever you told me to reach out to, I reach out to, because people need to hear real people telling their truth, telling their life-changing stories to help someone else be delivered, to say, "Lord, if you did it for Miss Faye, if you did it for Miss Donna, you can do it for me. I don't know how you're going to do it for me, but you can do it." And when we can trust him to do it, Miss Faye, he will do it.
And then, you know, to the young people, whatever career path they decide to take, try to get connected with someone that's headed that way.
Amen.
Because if you hanging out with somebody that's headed the wrong way, they're gonna take you the wrong way too. And just because it's your friend you grew up with them, sometimes you got to cut them loose.
Amen to
that.
I
mean, you ain't got that like you don't know them anymore, but you got to make some wise choices. And my 8-year-old granddaughter that lives here with me, that's what we talk about a lot. You have to learn how to make wise choices for yourself.
And you have to learn how to set boundaries for yourself. And whether it's with friends, whether it's with coworkers, it doesn't matter. You have to set boundaries, because if you don't set the boundaries, people will walk all over you.
Well, all over you.
Because they say, oh, well, she's quiet, she's easygoing. No, it's not. It's just that I know where God is trying to take me, but I also have to set boundaries for me. And sometimes you have to set boundaries.
You got to love it. You got to love and defend yourself too. Yeah. Because the world won't.
No. And that's why I say, when we set boundaries and when we love who we are, and I always tell people, there's a difference in being confident and arrogant. There's a whole, it's different. But when you're confident in God, then you can strive every day to be better. And that's my prayer every time I wake up. I'm like,
and you feel good about whatever you're doing or what you're saying.
Exactly. And you know, sometimes we have to cut people off. It could be family. And it doesn't mean that we don't love our family, but if our family,
sometimes you gotta love them at a distance.
And because when you have a purpose, you need somebody that's going to push you into your purpose, help you get there.
Because you need your peace.
Girl.
You need your peace.
That peace is better than anything. It is better than anything. But if you had one thing that you would want God to do for you, to help you still cultivate and still love people and help people, what would that one thing be?
To get my business, my life, my coaching business up and running. I don't need about 5 or 6 clients because I can't work full time anyway. So I'm retired. I retired out of public health.
Right.
So I just need 5 or 6 good clients, and whoever else, I still work for free. I don't want everybody to think that I'm working for free, because they be calling me think I'm working for free.
But I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to seeing you come out with a book, because your story is truly, truly amazing. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is no 12-year-old, it could be some, but I don't think an average 12-year-old in this day and age would know how to take care of a baby and take care of other siblings. And step into a mother's role. And I know your siblings are honored that you sacrifice being a teenager or even a preteen, because you're not even 13 yet, but yet and still you stepped into a role of being mama.
I had to take care of my babies. I love them.
And that's an honor. That is an honor in itself, because like you said, you know, we take care of our children, our grandkids at a certain age, but when you're 12,
that was a lot. It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stress, but it made me who I am today.
Amen.
If I hadn't had my trials and tribulations, I probably would have made different choices. Mm-hmm. I could have went down a much worse path, because I was out there, you know. But thank God for Grandma and God, you know, because Grandma kind of steered us, you know, when she putting her input in it. And she was the kind of person, she wouldn't ask us, she'd tell us. Exactly. You know, nowadays you got the bad kids, but Grandma didn't ask you. She told you. When she told you, that's what she meant.
And that's the bottom line. And you know, and I was talking to somebody the other week. I said, when we was growing up, we just did what adults told us to do. I said, even if we didn't like it, we better say it in our head and not out of our mouth, because we might not.
You better not turn around and say, what?
Exactly. Exactly. But I just pray that God gives you the desire of your heart, and you just keep being who you are. Thank you for just taking the time to join us here at Hot Topics with Donna. I'm so thankful that we got on, because I'm like, we are getting on today.
I want to share this with you, since you said something about a book. I've thought about writing a book, but I have a 17-year-old granddaughter who's at Lee Early College. Mm-hmm. And she's heard a lot of grandma stories. She said she wanted to write one. And I was telling somebody, I can't remember who it was. I was telling my granddaughter wanted to write a book about my life. She says, tell her to get a pen and start writing.
Amen. Amen. And you can do it. You can do it. Because I have finished my book. I have a book that I just finished. I had my mentor, he looked it over and stuff. And so I am praying by March to have it published and stuff. So he sent me everything. So once you get yours done, I will pass on the information that he's given me, trying to get it
Okay.
on Amazon and stuff like that. But yeah, my goal was to have it finished by December so I can move to the next chapter. And so here I am. The book is finished. So it took me a while, but I did. And like I said, I'm just thankful. I'm just so thankful that you took the time and that we really got on. But I wish
I'm
you
so
all
glad too.
many blessings. Thank you, thank you, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Anytime you need me or something that I could step in and help, feel free. Because like I said, I'm retired. All I do now mostly is grandchildren.
Amen. And
I'm
I
Grandma
will.
Pepe.
And like I said, if you need me for anything, you know how to get in touch with me. So I just love you, my friend, my hometown girl, just like me, like walking around
Yeah.
with no shoes on outside.
Yes, my sister. You're a sweetheart. I watched you grow because when I first met you, I think you was a teenager too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I watched you, I just seen how you developed. You just developed and just blossom out like this beautiful flower. And
Thank you,
I'm
thank
very
you,
happy for you, sweetheart.
thank
And
you,
keep up
thank
the
you.
good work.
I will. Thank you. And just keep me in your prayers. So
And the same here.
I will. So until we meet again, I will talk to you later. But like I said, if you need me, you know how to get in contact with me.
Peace.
All right. Good night. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you guys for tuning in with Hot Topics with Donna, where we do it honest, open, and transparent. I hope you guys were truly, truly blessed by Miss Faye's story. If you missed the live, you can always go back and replay it, share it, share it, so we can get these amazing stories from ordinary people doing extraordinary things in their lives and in a community. So you can hear the stories that they share with us, how God is still have grace and mercy on us, even in our mess. But until then, I will be back tomorrow with another interview. So just tune back in tomorrow night and we're going to have some fun. Stay safe. Love yourself first, and then you can love others. And whatever you desire in your heart, all you have to do is ask Him. And if we make one step and trust Him, He would do the rest. I am a living witness. Have courage. Have courage to step out boldly on whatever you want to do in life. Don't allow people to make you abort your gifts, your talents, because they will. But nevertheless, God can restore you wherever you're at, wherever you're broken at, He can restore you. So until then, we love you here at Hot Topics with Donna. I am your host, Donna Taylor, and I will be back tomorrow. Good night.